Hey there, welcome back to my channel, MS Old Coins. Pull up a chair, get comfortable, and let's talk about something you probably walk past every single day without a second thought. I'm talking about the loose change that rattles around in the bottom of your bag, sits forgotten in a cup holder, or hides under the couch cushions collecting dust and grime. You know the ones, they look dirty, scratched, worn down, and frankly kind of gross. Let's get started, and right now, I want you to imagine one specific coin. A small, coppery thing from Australia, featuring Queen Elizabeth II on one side and a little frill-necked lizard on the other. It's the 1972 Australian 2-cent piece, and at first glance, it looks like nothing more than a beat-up, ignored piece of pocket change that's seen way better days. But here's where the story gets interesting, because that rough, ugly exterior might just be hiding something truly surprising. See, most people would toss this coin back into a jar or spin on a gumball without a flicker of curiosity. And honestly, that's exactly what the coin wants you to do, to overlook it, to dismiss it as worthless. But if you slow down and really look, that same dirty, scratched, worn coin could actually be carrying a value that makes your heart skip a beat. We're not talking about a few bucks or even $50. We're talking about the kind of money that makes you stop, blink, and suddenly start paying very close attention to every old coin you own. So let me give you a little background on why this particular coin even exists and what makes it so different from all the other 2-cent pieces floating around out there. Australia introduced decimal currency in 1966, and the 2-cent coin was a workhorse, made of bronze, featuring that charming frill-necked lizard on the reverse and a young portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse. They minted millions of them for decades, right up until 1989 when the coin was eventually withdrawn. Most years are common, worth face value at best, maybe a few cents to a collector in average condition. But the 1972 issue? That one has a secret. Without getting too technical, a small number of these coins struck in 1972 have a very specific, very subtle minting anomaly, a tiny but distinct difference in the date, the lettering, or the Queen's bust that most people would never notice. And that tiny difference transforms a grimy little piece of copper into something genuinely rare. Now, here's how you can check for yourself, because the details are everything. Flip the coin over to the side with the lizard and look closely at the number 1972. On a normal coin, the digits look clean and consistent. But on the valuable error variety, you might notice a slight doubling in the numbers or a small, extra lump of metal near the rim. Then look at Elizabeth's hair on the front, right around the bun and the back of her neck. On the rare coins, the detail is slightly sharper or has a tiny, almost invisible crack line that shouldn't be there. Also check the overall shape. Is the coin perfectly round, or is it just a hair off center? Are there any weird lumps, dents, or missing sections that look like the metal didn't quite fill the stamp? You're going to need good light and maybe a magnifying glass, because these clues are easy to miss. And here's the kicker. Even if your coin is scratched, worn smooth in spots, and looks like it was run over by a bicycle, it can still be valuable as long as that specific error is visible. And I really want to emphasize that point, because most people think only shiny, perfect coins are worth money. That's just not true. A dirty, beat-up, ugly coin with a rare error can easily sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. For example, a well-worn but still recognizable 1972 Australian 2-cent error might bring in around $850 at auction. If the coin is in decent shape with light wear, you could see $1,200 or $1,300. A nice, clean example with strong details? That jumps to over $2,100. And if you're lucky enough to have one that's never been in circulation, with full original luster, we're talking $3,400 or more. The absolute best of the best, a flawless specimen with the error perfectly struck, can climb past $4,700. That's real money for a coin that looks like it belongs in a trash can. So let me say it again, loud and clear. This coin has real value. Do not let the dirt, the scratches, or the worn-down surface fool you. That ugly little piece of change might be the most valuable thing in your pocket right now, and you would never know it unless you stop to look. But here is the most important warning I can possibly give you. And please listen closely. Do not clean the coin. Do not scrub it. Do not soak it in vinegar or baking soda. Do not polish it. Do not even wipe it with a cloth. Cleaning a coin destroys its natural surface and kills the collector value instantly. That $850 coin becomes a 50-cent coin the second you try to make it shiny. Leave it exactly as it is, dirty, crusty, and original. Collectors want the honest wear and the untouched patina, because that tells the story of the coin's journey. And that brings us to the simple, natural ending of this little tale. Next time you're sorting through an old jar of change or digging through a drawer at a relative's house, keep an eye out for that small copper coin with the queen and the lizard. Take a good, slow look at the date, 1972. Don't let its rough appearance chase you away. Instead, let it spark a little bit of curiosity, because you just never know what kind of treasure is hiding in plain sight. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and as always, happy hunting. Next coin, the 1995 Australian $1 featuring Queen Elizabeth II. If you happen to find one of these in your pocket, chances are it looks tired, dull, and slightly damaged, maybe with a dark, grimy patina around the Queen's portrait and deep scratches across the mob of roos on the back. At a glance, the aluminium bronze alloy that makes up the coin, which is about 92% copper, can look faded or discolored, and the once sharp details might feel worn down to soft, almost unrecognizable lumps. Because of this rough appearance, most people quickly dismiss it as just another beat-up piece of change, assuming it's barely worth the dollar printed on its face. And that, right there, is where they make a costly mistake. The reality is that this coin, despite its worn and damaged state, is often severely misjudged. The average person sees the scratches, the nicks on the edge, and the overall dullness and immediately categorizes it as worthless pocket junk. But what they don't realize is that collectors aren't just looking for shiny, perfect coins. In fact, a huge portion of the numismatic market is driven by finding specific years, errors, and varieties that most people overlook. For the 1995 issue, the high mintage of over 21 million pieces makes the common coin quite easy to find, leading to the assumption that all examples are face value. However, hidden among those millions are specific varieties, like the proof year set versions or the silver collector editions, that carry a completely different level of desirability. Furthermore, known minting errors from this era, such as the double rim, mule errors where the coin was struck on the wrong planchet, can transform a grimy, overlooked coin into a serious financial asset. To understand why this specific year is so interesting, we need to look at its historical context and the collector demand surrounding it. The Australian $1 coin was introduced in 1984 to replace the fragile paper note, and the iconic mob of roos designed by Stuart Devlin quickly became a national symbol. By 1995, the coin was well established, but this particular year is significant because it falls right in the middle of the transition for the Queen's portrait. The 1995 issue uses the third portrait of Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Maklauf, which features a more mature and detailed bust of the Queen wearing a royal diadem and pearl necklace. Collectors are actively hunting for high-grade examples of this specific portrait, and even circulated coins with unique errors are commanding strong premiums because they represent a specific moment in Australia's decimal history. The demand is driven by the fact that coins are the most collected item in Australia, making up a massive portion of the collectibles market, and that hunger for completeness drives the value of otherwise ordinary-looking coins through the roof. Now, let me guide you on how to check your own $1,995 coin through its visible features, because the details are everything. First, look at the reverse side featuring the 5 kangaroos. Standard coins have a distinct, sharp design, but valuable errors might include what collectors call a spew-roo, which is a small blob of extra metal under the mouth of the top kangaroo. You'll need a magnifying glass for this, as it's a subtle lump that looks like the kangaroo is spitting. Second, check the obverse with Queen Elizabeth II. Look closely at the rim. If you see a distinct double rim or misaligned edges, you might be holding a rare mule error where the coin was struck with a 10-cent piece die. Also, look at the date and the lettering around the edge for any signs of doubling or repunched mint marks. These are not flaws. They're manufacturing anomalies that make a common coin rare. If your coin is from a special proof set or has an S or C mint mark indicating a specific issue, its value potential changes entirely. And here's the most important part to remember. Condition absolutely matters, but even ugly, heavily circulated coins can still be valuable if they carry the right error. You don't need a gem quality, flawless coin to see a return. Even a well-worn $1,995 with a visible double rim error can be worth hundreds of dollars. Let me give you some realistic price references so you understand the scale we're talking about. A common circulated $1,995 is worth face value. But if you find a proof version or a silver bullion release, values start to climb. For a $1,995 with a solid mint error in average condition, we are looking at prices around $920. If the coin is in about uncirculated condition with that same error, the value jumps to $1,650. A nice, crisp, uncirculated example with full luster and a strong error can easily bring $2,750 at auction. If you have a high-grade certified piece, we're talking $3,850, and the absolute cream of the crop, a perfect specimen with a rare variety, can command prices up to $4,900 or more. To repeat, this coin carries real value, even if it looks like it has been through the washing machine a dozen times. Before you get too excited and try to polish that coin up to make it look new, I need to give you a very serious warning. Do not clean the coin. I cannot stress this enough. Scrubbing, polishing, or even wiping the surface with a cloth will remove the original patina and leave micro scratches that completely destroy the collector value. A coin that might have been worth $1,650 becomes a 50-cent piece the moment you try to make it shiny. Collectors want the original surface, the honest wear, and even the dirt because it proves the coin hasn't been tampered with. If it's dirty, leave it dirty. If it's scratched, leave it scratched. That natural, ugly appearance is the only thing protecting its potential value. So here is the bottom line. That 1995 Australian $1 coin sitting in your cup holder, the one that looks worn, dull, and completely ignored, has the potential to be a sleeping giant. It is one of the most commonly misjudged coins in modern Australian currency because people assume that common mintage means no value. But thanks to specific minting errors, collector demand for the third portrait, and the hunt for high-grade specimens, this coin can surprise you in a big way. Whether it's a subtle, spew-roo error or a sharp double rim, the evidence is there if you just take the time to look. As we wrap up, keep it simple. Grab your magnifying glass, check that 1995 date, and examine the kangaroos and the Queen's portrait with a patient eye. Don't let the scratches fool you, and definitely don't reach for the polish. You might just be holding a piece of copper that is worth a whole lot more than a cup of coffee. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting.